Welcome to Tourism Talk. I'm Laura Oswald, Director of Marketing at the Paducah Visitors Bureau. Today, we're on location at the Hotel Metropolitan here in Paducah's historic Uppertown neighborhood. This hotel hosted many African American entertainers, famous sports figures, and other travelers during segregation. And today, it is home to one of Paducah's signature experiences, keeping very important Paducah stories alive with Miss Maggie's Memories. So let's head inside. Now we're inside the Hotel Metropolitan with Betty Dobson. Thank you for having us, Betty.
You're more than welcome.
The Hotel Metropolitan is such a Paducah gem, and for those of our viewers who have not yet experienced this, I'm so excited to take them behind the experience, Miss Maggie's Memories, and what a special story this place represents.
Well, thank you. We're very proud of the Hotel Metropolitan, and I, as Miss Maggie, love telling the story of the hotel.
Yes. Well, before we transition into your alter ego
Okay.
as Miss Maggie, what is your Paducah story, Betty?
Well, my Paducah story is that I met my husband here as I was going to college, and we met and got married, and Paducah became my home. And I've always loved Paducah because I lived in a small community of Eddyville. And so when we went shopping, it meant a trip to Paducah. So I always looked forward to coming to Paducah. I never thought I would live here, or do this type of thing.
Right. Well, now you are such a big part of the tourism experience and being one of our really key storytellers. This is the year of Kentucky storytellers, and so I'm so excited for our viewers to meet you. And the Hotel Metropolitan does represent some very important Paducah stories. For those who don't know what the hotel is, we're here in the Uppertown neighborhood. Tell us a little bit about this building and its history.
Well, the Hotel Metropolitan was built somewhere around 1908. We know for sure that the doors were open in 1908 because the Golden Jubilee of Colored Baptists in Kentucky asked Maggie to send a picture of herself, and she sent a picture of the hotel. So we knew what the hotel looked like during that particular period. And Maggie, in the book, it said that Maggie was doing a good business and that she was a business-minded woman, and she opened the hotel to give her people something better. And I thought that was really significant.
And her story is so inspiring. And I think that that's one of the things that has been so exciting for us, seeing this experiential development, seeing those stories really come to life, truly come to life. So what was it like for you? You've been here at the museum offering this experience for many years, just offering tours, fish fries, that sort of thing, bringing to light this former hotel, now preserving that history of the African American travelers who came through our region. What stories were you most focused on, or what were your goals as you went through developing and elevating that experience?
First, I have to say that I was very humbled by the experiences that I learned about, connecting the hotel with the community. Folks, when I got involved with the hotel, it was condemned, as you well know. And so people, when we were trying to save the hotel, people came from the community and told us their stories, whether it was about the Negro League baseball players or some of the great entertainers that were here, like the story of B.B. King sitting on the front porch eating sweet potato pie that was made by Commissioner Coleman's mother, and how people would throw nickels and dimes and quarters on the porch, for him entertaining. But the thing I found most special about those stories, B.B. King wasn't B.B. King,
Mm-hmm.
as we
Mm-hmm.
know him today. He wasn't a legend, and I think that's one of the things that inspires me the most is that Maggie had the wherewithal to open a hotel that would accommodate travelers of color,
Mm-hmm.
and some of those people went on to be legends. But I often wondered if Maggie didn't do that, where would those people
Right.
had been, or who would have encouraged them along the way
Mm-hmm.
that to make them the legends that we know.
Absolutely. Those other establishments. And people are
Mm-hmm.
familiar with the Green Book now
Mm-hmm.
because of the movie and its popularity and awards.
Mm-hmm.
And this is really bringing that experience home and showing Paducah's
Oh,
connection to
yes.
that story.
Mm-hmm.
It's really amazing. And to think about those people that came through these doors,
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting chills.
Well, the Hotel Metropolitan was listed in the Green Book from 1930 until its very last publication. And one of the things I noticed, and in the 40s, there began an asterisk
Mhm.
by the name of the hotel. I assumed that meant that it was a quality establishment because there were a couple of others that had the
Mhm.
asterisks by them. And they were big shot hotels,
Mm.
so I figured that's what it meant for our community, that the
Mhm.
Hotel Metropolitan was, the place, the respectable place to stay.
Wonderful. Well, I think, today there are very different people coming through these
Oh,
doors to
yes.
discover this history,
Hmm.
and seeing value in understanding that heritage and that time in our history as Americans. So, Miss Maggie's Memories is what the experience is deemed.
Hmm.
Um, and this was part of our experiential development that we all worked collaboratively on, but really you spearheaded a lot of that story gathering and making those stories something that would be especially memorable. What are some of those stories or elements of the Miss Maggie's Memories tour that really make this an experience?
Well, from the beginning of Miss Maggie's experience, it begins at the front door. Uh, through every room of the building until you are ready to go. I
Yeah.
mean, there's stories about what it was like, what life was like for uh, not African Americans, but colored people.
Mhm.
That's how we were deemed at that particular um, junction in history. And some people don't like it because I refer to our race as colored, but that's the experience. And that was the period that Miss Maggie was in, and that's how we were referred to.
Mhm.
And so I shared those stories and the perils of what it was like to be able to have an education. There was particular testing that you had to go through, and I shared, what it was like and the schools, and really kind of setting history straight. Some people believe that one woman was the first millionaires,
Mhm.
black millionaires in the U.S., but she wasn't. There
Mhm.
is a lady who has ties to our area. Her parents are buried here in Paducah,
Mhm.
and she was raised in Metropolis, Illinois. And her name is Annie Turbo Malone. She
Mhm.
was our first black millionaires, and people confused her with another woman. So
Yes.
I'm glad that I can set the history straight for
Mhm.
her.
Absolutely. And you kind of present that as trivia, trying to
Uh-huh.
really engage people
Mm-hmm.
in these stories. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that is part of what makes it so memorable.
Thank you.
We've talked about some of the great groups you have had through the doors and
Mm-hmm.
their impressions of this experience. Um, what kinds of things do you often hear, or what questions, what comes up for visitors?
Well, a few weeks ago, I had a gentleman who was from Canada and his son that I was able to give the experience to. And for them, it was totally different for people who would be in the U.S. because Canada didn't experience the same level of racism, I guess, that was portrayed here in the United States, and so they found it just horrendous that Black people endured um, situations like this. And um, then I've given it to people who are of the area, older people, and white people, uh, privileged people who had no idea um, what it was like to be Black. You know, they had preconceived notions and ideas, and you know, I'm able to put some of those uh, to rest. You know,
Mm-hmm.
some of the wrong notions I
Yeah.
was able to put to rest, and I make it comfortable so we can talk about
Mm-hmm.
um, concerns. You
Right.
know.
Well, I think that you bring up a really good point there that this experience, the CVB was involved in this in the thought of tourism development,
Mm-hmm.
and we have seen groups from all over come to experience this and participate in this
Mm-hmm.
experience. Um, but it also is relevant to local groups, local
Mm-hmm.
individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about how um, any specifications on size of group, or it sounds like you're able to do this for individuals or smaller groups as
Mm-hmm.
well. What is the ideal kind of setup?
Well, I I I really like to keep a group where I can sit them comfortably.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be like 16 to
Mm-hmm.
20 people. But we do have means of, I work with other partners
Mm-hmm.
in tourism.
Yep.
And so for larger groups, we work out that maybe they'll be at another part of the group would be with
Yeah.
another partner as I do a tour, and then
Right.
we'll change places so we can accommodate
And that works really well.
just about any crowd. We have to get creative, but
Mm-hmm.
we don't want to turn anyone away.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I think I mean, 16 to 20 people, I think of, youth groups or a
Hmm.
garden club. This could be
Hmm.
a really great experience for some of these local groups, as well as visiting groups.
Right,
And
right.
we see that the connection with the hotel and America's music heritage is
Hmm.
very key. One of the very first groups that we had in to do this experience was a group of international writers.
Yes.
And that was amazing to see that be sort of the original test run of the experience and how
Mhm.
much it resonated with them. And I think that they believed you were Miss Maggie.
I
You were,
believe so.
yes. So that I think that part of the heritage seems to be especially um, memorable to people or of interest. Do you see
Hmm.
that too?
I do see that. And I think it's because Maggie is firm, but yet loving, and so you can see where you have to respect the woman for what she's doing, but yet the story she has to tell, just engulfs you and pulls
Yeah.
you in, to want to hear more or at least, excuse me, do research to
Hmm.
find out more about the conversations that we bring up and through the tour.
Absolutely. And I think, I've been to the new African American Heritage Museum in DC,
Hmm.
and going through that museum, there were many things that are right in line with Miss Maggie's tour and those
Hmm.
elements of heritage, the paper bag tests, and things that people, um, local people, visitors may not
Hmm.
realize.
Hmm.
And you really do bring it to life. So
Thank you.
we certainly want to encourage more visitors to do this and more locals. And I think that something that might encourage people to see the caliber of this experience is some of the reviews that you're getting.
Oh,
Wow.
gosh.
So this Miss Maggie's Memories has become a premium tour for the American Queen Steamboat Company,
Yes, we're so proud.
and really a top rated premium tour. Tell us about what it's been like to work with the steamboats and welcome so many new people through this.
It has really been amazing working with the riverboat. I mean, we meet so many people of all types of nationalities, and you don't know until the end of the tour who you're actually talking to until they're asking questions and things of that nature. But it has been wonderful and beneficial. I mean, we have had donors that
Mm-hmm.
have sent us things, and I didn't even know they were a part of our
Right.
tour, and so it's been wonderful in the sense that it's helped us to become um, efficient,
Mm-hmm.
self-efficient, um, but it's been a learning experience
Mm-hmm.
for myself, learning things from other nationalities
Right.
and um, for my kids, grandkids, because it's a family matter.
Mm-hmm.
We pull in board members,
Yes.
my grandkids when they're here, family members. And at the end of it all, I always serve up some pie
Yes,
and
that's
sweet
right.
tea, to send people on their way.
That's
So
right.
it's been a lot to me and
Yes.
to the project as well.
Wonderful. And I think that you mentioned the pie, and your pie is
Yes,
becoming famous out
it
there.
has. And I have to give credit to my mom. She always told me when we first started the project,
Mm-hmm.
at the very beginning when it was condemned, if you're going to go talking to people, asking them for money, feed them. They won't be mad at
That's
you.
right.
And so I thought of that as uh, I was doing the program. I
Mm-hmm.
thought, even if I flubbed and they didn't like it, they'll be okay if I feed them some pie.
Right. And that is such a great addition. We love seeing that customizable
Hmm.
experience. And I think we bill it as an authentic soul food tasting. You
It
can actually go
is.
beyond
Hmm.
pie and do even a more in-depth kind of tasting. And for those journalists from the UK and France, that was really fun.
Oh, they loved it. I really felt the love from them, and
Yes.
and even in their articles, the
Mhm.
things that I got back, they mentioned the food quite
Right.
often. So
That's such a
good.
great way to educate as well,
Hmm.
through taste.
Hmm.
Very important sense of the experience.
Hmm.
So, for locals who haven't been here, what are some of the other times of year? I think of Quilt Week, your Fish Fries, Black History Month. Tell us about some of those events that happen throughout the year where you're opening the doors.
Well, someone asked when do we have our Black History program in February during Black History Month, and I always have to say we're Black History
All the time,
all the
all
time.
year long, yes.
So anytime you want to come, it's a Black History Month. If
Hmm.
it's June, July, it doesn't matter because that's what we offer is Black
Yes.
history, and so. In January, we tried to honor Dr. King,
Hmm.
with uh, portrait artwork from the community, local artists who have done renderings of Dr. King. We put them on display. In February, we do a soul food dinner,
Hmm.
so people can get a taste of authentic soul food cooking. And in March, we honored the USA colored heavy artillery and women,
Hmm. Right.
honoring women. And April is quilt show, and May we work with the Lowertown Arts and Music Festival, and with the Cinema Sisters.
Yes.
They always have their festival in May, and we work closely with them as well. And so June is Black Music Month,
Hmm.
so Appreciation Month. So we'll be doing something in June. July is like, okay. We kind of
Steamboats.
take, yeah, we take our break then. And then August is our Emancipation celebration time, and
Hmm.
we do that.
Yes. So
Mhm.
there are so many opportunities to get
So
in,
many.
celebrate Black
The
history
fish
all year
fries are
long.
always the first
Yes.
Friday, so.
First Friday fish fries.
Mhm.
Wonderful. And I hope our viewers will check out Paducah.travel, where we have great information about the Hotel Metropolitan and the contact information to book an appointment or an experiential
Mhm.
tour, and keep track of a lot of these great events too.
Thank you.
Tell us, there is definitely a connection with this African American heritage and quilting. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it's several dynamics as far as quilting and African American culture. For instance, the quilters of the G's Bends
Yes.
was a focus of this last year or this past quilt show. And we also highlight the codes of the quilts. You know, some people believe that during slavery, the quilts were used to alert uh, fugitive slaves in their journeys. You know, the conductor would say, "Look for this particular quilt."
Right.
That would be its meaning. So African American and quilting have gone hand in hand since people of color have come to this country. They quilting has been a big part of our history.
Yes. I think that that's, all of those connections you're really celebrating here. And you mentioned Negro League Baseball, and you've had some great events in that regard to bring that to light, and the Civil War heritage with the artillery recruitment here.
Yes.
Really key pieces of history. So, with all of that in mind, why do you think it's important for locals and visitors alike to come and experience this type of thing?
I feel that it's important that locals and visitors come and experience the hotel to know that we are on the same plane. We're all in the same boat. There's, recent divisions and ugliness that has been displayed over the last few years. It really concerns me. And I equate it to like having a relationship and being married to your husband. You know, you're fussing, he's looking away, but while you're fussing, the he may not be saying anything, but that notion of those words are going through his mind. And so at one point or another, you know that it has resonated with him and he's willing to act on it. I see that the same thing with race. If we never talk about it, then we never clear the air. We never have that discussion where we can evoke those words that can resonate to make us better people. And so when I have locals and visitors here at the hotel, I kind of give them that opportunity to have that discussion, to have that relationship about race that they wanted to talk about, but maybe was fearful of who they could talk to about it. So, and I'm really proud that we can do that for our community.
Absolutely. Well, creating this experience developed some new selling points to allow you to welcome new audiences and show that you're elevating the experience people can have here. What do you see as kind of the future of that, or the impact yet to come from these experiences?
I do feel that the experience will grow. It will benefit this community, the Upper Town community,
Yes.
at one point or another. I feel that the history that we share is not going to be able to be held just in the walls of the hotel anymore. That it's got to spill out
Yes.
into the streets, and maybe we'll have a small regiment that will talk about the USA colored, and we put up a plaque for them in 2011, and so on the area where they were garrisoned at. So I'm hoping that we can expand on that as an experience as well. The street is named for Oscar Cross and Coach Gaines. Those men have great stories in themselves to tell. Oscar Cross integrated the Boys Club of America, and and he trained Billie Holiday. I mean,
Yes.
gosh. I
What
mean,
a
he had a
story.
wonderful story to
Hmm.
tell about that. And then uh, Coach Clarence Big House Gaines. I mean, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I could see a young man being Coach Gaines and
Hmm.
portraying, uh, teaching young men how to play basketball, lifting
Hmm.
them up to another level to want something better for themselves and their family. And so I just I I just feel so good about
Hmm.
what we are doing here and how that it will not only benefit the hotel, but like I said, just spill out into the community and
Absolutely.
bring forth some other uh, history
Hmm.
related activities.
Yes, well, that's wonderful. We so appreciate your vision and your
Thank
passion,
you, thank
your
you,
hospitality, and
thank
welcoming
you.
visitors literally from all over the world into this piece of history. So, thank you, Betty, Miss Maggie.
Thank you, sugar.
We appreciate it, and I do hope that our viewers will visit paducah.travel/groups, learn more about Miss Maggie's memories. You can get a little bit of a teaser there in a video to see how Miss Maggie really brings this experience to life. But you certainly need to come through these doors and experience it for yourself. So thank you again for joining us, and please join us next time as we continue to go on the road with Tourism Talk to celebrate Paducah's signature experiences.
1, 2, go.